Hey guys, Mark W. Flockhart, and we're going to talk about commission structure with independent agents. This is answering, I believe his name is Ezekiel or Ziki. I don't know. I apologize, it's spelled odd. I can't say it. You asked how can you calculate commissions to calculate budget. So I'm going to make this video, and then after this video, I'm actually going to make a budget one as well so I can show you what our budget is. Might take a few days to process that one, but just give it some time. Essentially, what you can average out, the rule of thumb, at least in our world, is 12%. So we actually earn anywhere from 12 to 15% on a given policy that we write. That's really the sweet spot. That's for the personal lines. Now, commercial is a little bit different if you actually do P&C, property and casualty. So the commercial part, you're going to average between 10 and 20%. It really depends on what company you're selling and what's a fit in your area. For us, there are a couple companies, very few, that are paying a commission of 20%, so they're double paying you for the same policy. Granted, the ones that are paying 10% are like half the price. So it's like, do you go for the high one and probably lose the deal more often than not, or do you go for the average or the cheaper one and get the deal every time? Granted, you're going to have to sell two of those to get the one. In our case, most of the time we kind of fall between the two. We run them both and to see if this one's competitive because we want to give them the best features because usually these ones have better features, but we don't want to necessarily lose our shirts on the money, right? In this world, it's pretty simple to calculate. So the math that we came up with is 0.1275. And what that means is if you're part of an aggregate or you're part of a cluster, you can backtrack the percentage that you would pay. In our case, we actually commission about 15% back to the cluster. So the agency that we're part of, that we joined in order to get all of our appointments, every time we sell a policy, 85 comes to us, 15% goes to them. And then there's a cap to a certain amount, and then we just pay a fee after that. So in our case, the easiest way to calculate is 0.1275. Granted, you're going to have to determine that if yours is different than ours. So the easiest way to calculate this is, let's just say you wrote $10,000. Actually, let's just use the average. So let's say in a given year or in a given month, you wrote $25,000 in premium. Okay, that's pretty common. I think most agents are writing between $20,000 to $25,000. So if you're $25,000 and you multiply that by 0.12, so we'll just go on the lower end, we'll say 12%, you're going to earn $3,000. Okay, keep in mind this isn't including any of your fees or any of your costs or anything like that that you're paying to pay the electricity, operate the company, pay for leads, things like that. So in a given month, you're going to earn about $25,000, $25,000 in premium. If you can get that up to 40, which is really the goal of most agents, is to do 40 plus. And some out there are rock stars and they're writing 100 plus. But let's just say you're fairly new and you're in a learning curve. If you get to the 40,000, now you're looking at closer to 4,800. Okay, it really just depends on what you do. We actually have a calculator that we created. My partner actually mainly built this calculator that you plug in the premium, and it tells you the first 5 years of what you can expect based on about a 10 to 15% loss. What I mean by that is if you're going to calculate the whole year, so let's just keep with the easy numbers. Let's say we're going to calculate the whole year, 25,000. If we do that 12 months in a row and never did any better, never did any worse, we're going to write that first year $300,000. Okay, the goal, honestly, I would say to shoot higher than that, but if that's where you're at, that's where you're at. If you're at a 12% average, so times 0.12, you're going to take home $36,000. And that's pretty accurate because, like I said, a lot of the times, more often than not, this 15% is what you're going to get paid on. And that also calculates if you're going to pay 15% of that back, you're kind of sitting at that 1.1275 number. So in our case, if we would have wrote $300,000 times 0.1275, we're looking at $38,250. So you can see it's pretty accurate as far as that goes. So your first year, you're not going to make barely anything. So let's play this out a little bit further, because you are going to lose some income as you go. So let's say this number, this 300,000, let's start a whole separate column here. This is year one. And let's just go to the next level over and say we've got year two now. So year two, we have that 300,000. Because you got to think of this long term. Obviously, first year, you're not making crud. And it's the second, third, it's really the third and fourth year that you start making money. So that times, we're going to say 15%. Because we're going to assume that we're going to lose 15% of our clients. We're busy, we haven't hired a service person yet, we're just growing. So we're going to lose 445,000 out of this. So we're going to subtract the 45,000. Okay. 300,000 minus 45,000 is going to leave us with 255,000 left. Okay, assume we did the exact same thing last year. We're now being able to handle service. We're just having a little bit more stress. So now we add the 300,000 on top of that. We're now going to get paid on 555,000. So now we're making $66,600. That's the end of year two. Keep in mind, we aren't counting costs. So probably 20,000 of this, which I'll do in the next video, is going to come out of your commissions. Let's go one more year. So let's see if this fits on the board here. So this will be year three. So we've got 555,000. Multiply that by 15%. So we're going to lose $83,250. Okay, that's going to leave us with $471,750. Okay, now the thing I want you to think of is this is now year three, right? You've done year one, you survived, you've done year two, it looked a little bit better. Now you're in year three. You're still eating ramen noodles, my friend. It's still not at that beautiful spot. Let's say we did nothing more, nothing less. Keep in mind, we're probably going to start hiring service people because we're getting a little bit busy with service. This is where it starts to slow down because you're probably not going to write 300,000 in your third year just because of the fact that now you have service and you have $500,000 plus worth of book, and these people want to change their cars, they want to update things. You have to do the cancellation paperwork. A house inspection comes back and something's wrong with it. You're the one that has to fix that. Unless you're part of a system that already has a service department. Thing is, if you do have that, then you're paying more than the 15%. You're paying 30, 40, even 50% of your commission for a company like that. So now 771,750 times 0.12. You've earned 92,610. And I'm willing to bet you probably out-pocketed at least 30,000 of that back into a part-time service person. So you're probably netting about a 62,610, which is pretty much the same as this. You're still in the ramen noodle life, but now you can afford help, right? Now you've got a service person, maybe someone's going to join and help you. You've got some people calling leads that have potential that might be turned into like a salesperson. We want to go one more time because, like I said, year 4 and 5, kind of getting crazy with this, is really where it happens. And I'm just going to do the math here. So year 4, now let's just pretend that we wrote 300,000. I get it. I'm not making sense anymore because who in their right mind can write 300,000 when I told you it was already too hard? So you're just short of $1 million. You're $955,998. $114,719, and you get that lucky 76 cents. So just short of 115,000 by the end of year 4, going into year 5. It's a grind. It's a lot of work. Likely what this is you got to subtract probably now 50,000 out of this because you're going to now have a full-time service person. For every $1 to $2 million worth of business, you need someone to service that book. If you don't have someone you can have commission it out, then you're going to have to find someone that you'll have to pay. If you pay, let's just say 40,000 out, so we've got to subtract 40,000. This total income that you have is $74,719. So you're just short of $75,000 before you're paying the $20,000 to $25,000 out. So you're now on year 4, you're $50,000, your take home. So it's not as glamorous as everybody likes to show that it should be. I hate showing just how it can be a little bit of a struggle. There's a lot of things to think outside of this. Because if you do get more of the higher commission, the 15%, then that's great. The thing I didn't mention in this is there's year-end bonuses. So the year-end bonus, what these can be, it's an average of 3%. At least in every company that I've ever seen, it varies. So the way that these companies calculate this is they take your growth from the year before to this year. How much did you grow? How much did you retain? What type of business was this? And they calculate how profitable you were with them. If you were profitable with them, they're going to give you more than 3%. If you get 3%, so this year here, at the first year, you did 300,000, so it's $9,000. Okay, that's your bonus. In this year, for year 2, you did 555,000 times 3%, which is 16,650. So these are the numbers I'm not adding in here. And then this year, 771, 750 times 3% is 23,152. And then this last year where you're 955,998. So you're 28,679, 680 we'll say. This is starting to pay for your service person. So even though I said you're going to get 75, you can add an extra 28 on top of that. You've got about 90-something thousand. This is your mini vacations and your bonuses and your trips and your commissions. If your service person sells a policy, maybe you give them a little bit of a kickback or something. So 9,000, 16,000, 23, 28,000, that's really where things start to get fun. And if it's just you, honestly, right here is not that difficult. If you can hire a service person, let's say you pay them $50 a year, you can honestly get close to $3 to $3.5 million. That's like the max that I've calculated to where you're never gonna make more. There is a ceiling. Let's do the final number. So let's say you're at 3.2 million. And let me know if this is all too much. There's a lot going on here. So actually, I'll put it over here. Let's say you're at 3.2 million. So if you're at 3.2 million, just the loss ratio that you're at, and this is kind of where I came up with, if you're at a 15% loss ratio, which you will probably be at, you're gonna lose $480,000 in premium every year. So it makes sense for you to try to focus on getting that 15 down to 10 and even lower. Every percent that you save there is so much more money that you're saving that you don't have to go find somebody new to replace that business. That's why hiring a service person to handle that type of stuff is worth $30 to $50 or even $60,000 or whatever the cost is to keep that business. You got to do the math there to make it work for you, right? These people are going to drop this by 2%, 3%, and 3% of that is a pretty good savings. You're talking $12,000, which you're making 12%, so you're making an extra $1,500 to $2,000 additional every year, plus the renewals and all of that. It starts to get a little bit confusing the further out you go, and this is one of the reasons that we created an Excel spreadsheet. So can you do the allotted six-figure income? 100% you can. By the end of year 4, going into year 5, you technically have a little bit over 100,000 while paying a service person and a little bit of leeway with leads and whatever marketing that you're going to do. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully it wasn't too much. Let me know if you have any questions with this, or if you guys have any questions on this. This is essentially my growth plan from year 1 to year 2 to year 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and essentially beyond. Ours is a lot bigger than this. So in our world, what we do is basically the same numbers, the same math, but we're trying to grow an agency. So right now there's me, my partner, and an employee. So going into next year, we should hire another person. So now we're writing almost 1.5 million next year. And hopefully by the mid of next year, the year after the end of that year, we're gonna hire 2 or 3 people. And so it's just kind of a growth plan for us, is we're looking large scale, more of an infinite plan than what can I do. This is what you can do, and this will work for you. This is easy, because this is just coming in, doing your job, helping people. That's really the thing. The more people you help, the better it gets. Helping enough people, and then getting a little bit overwhelmed, getting a little bit crazy, and then having to hire somebody. So at this point, between you and one other person, you guys, he's making, whoever he or she is making $50,000 a year, you're making $70,000 a year, you guys are pretty okay. Most of it's renewal. So if you paused for a half a year, you had to take time off, or you had to take a break, you've got some money still coming in. You're still gonna have a decent income. But by the 4th, 5th, and 6th year, if you have that person, you've got one employee doing service, one employee doing sales, you've got you still selling if that's the case. Now you've got a comfy, cushy $150,000 plus income. You can even start paying that guy in commission to where he's not taking away from this unless he's adding to it. This is if you never actually hired a guy to do it, assuming that you could always write 300,000, which I get it. Put in the comments, yell at me for not deteriorating this, but I can't. I don't know what it can go down to. I probably should do 200,000. So maybe we need to take another $30,000 off of that, because over time you just get busy. Let me know if this is helpful, thumbs up. Let me know if you guys don't like it by hitting the thumbs down. That way I can know never to make this again. And if my numbers are off, tell me in the comments below. But I'm pretty sure this is close. I play with these numbers all the time. It's fun to look at. This is actually exciting to me to go through these numbers to kind of picture the vision. I'm Mark W. Flockhart. I'll see you soon.